What's up, everybody? Welcome to Tsunami Speaks Some Portuguese with your host, Tsunami Jones. Quick note regarding that I'm workshopping the name a little bit. I might stay with it, or I might go to Tsunami Speaks, and that's it. I think it might be easier for everybody to find me here on YouTube, or just even easier for me to say. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. But drop a comment here. Let me know what you guys think. I'm willing to take your thoughts into consideration and make the right change or stay with it if y'all think that's the best name for the show. Um, while you're in the comments, please like and subscribe. Still trying to build this channel up and hopefully start a little community. Um, but yeah, like and subscribe. I appreciate you guys. Every little bit helps. All that being said, our New York Jets took the field on 9/11 against the Baltimore Ravens at MetLife Stadium. And we lost the game. 24-9. Probably anyone who was watching the game didn't quite feel like that score was indicative of the game. It it was a little bit of a punch in the stomach, you know? Um, just watching it and just seeing that no matter what we did on offense, we just couldn't put drives together. Meanwhile, our defense was balling out on the other side and we couldn't help them. That's not the complimentary football that we expected to see, that I expected to see, or that I think the team expected to do. Um, that said, that's what the results were, 24-9. I believe in my prediction on the last video, I said we'd win 27-24. So I was half right. Very wrong on the other part, but it doesn't matter, right? My original thoughts, my first thoughts were probably in line with everybody else's opinions. We looked sloppy on offense and special teams. Um, our pass protection was porous and not in a good way. Joe Flacco looked like a statue, like the Michelangelo's David statue, looked like that, in the pocket. And that's not what you want your quarterback to look like. Now, we do know how old he is. He's 37, and he was never a very mobile or athletic quarterback to begin with in the beginning of his career. It wasn't really his game. He's a guy that needs protection, and unfortunately, we couldn't help him on that end. Conversely, I don't think he helped himself on that end either, and I think he would tell you that. So it kind of is what it is, unfortunately, in that end. But obviously, we left a lot of drives on the field. I mean, we had we had fumbles, we had an interception, we had drops, and we had missed kicks. Oh my, all of that, and the game was still 24-9. Just saying, you know, um, just something to keep into consideration. Numbers wise, he still finished. Joe Flacco, that is, still finished 37-59. Quarterback should never be passing that much. 59 pass attempts is too many. I mean, for perspective, Tom Brady's highest game was 54 pass attempts last year. And everyone was saying it was insane that he passed the ball that much. And that's Tom Brady. Joe Flacco is not Tom Brady. We needed to protect that guy by playing more complimentary football. So I would say not one of Mike LaFleur's best play calling games. That's pretty obvious. I'm sure he has plenty of plays he'd like to have back. I think we played a lot of 13. I think I even heard Saleh say in one of his post interviews, we played a lot of 13 personnel. So we had our tight ends in there a lot to help block. That's why CJ Uzama didn't do a lot, because that's what he was in there namely doing. Conklin was the only one that actually got any pass attempts, I believe, from the tight end perspective. So those are some problems. Special teams, other than our guy Braxton Berrios, he played well. I was still pleased with him. That guy just is a lunch pail guy. He goes out there, he does his job, and he goes home. Gotta love a player like that. But that said, our kicker, Zerline, hurt us a little bit, obviously, with that missed kick. It was just a morale killer at the time. Mind you, a lot of kickers missed kicks yesterday. And it seems like it's always like that the first few weeks of the season. I don't know what foolishness happens. I don't know if it's everybody's rusty or what. Justin Tucker didn't have too many problems, but he's the he's like one of the best kickers of all time. So that's not our guy. I'm not too worried about Zerline, but like I said, that missed kick and then that missed extra point at the end of the game, those hurt. That said, our punter though, mad at him a little bit. Because this isn't just one game with him, you know. Last year, Braden Mann came back from the injury. We had, I believe, Thomas Morstead, I believe was the name of the other punter, who kind of outplayed him when we brought back Mann from his injury. Kind of let that go, even though he kind of looked a little bit of a shell of himself. You know, injuries, punters, you know, things like that happen in the NFL a lot. People get cut after injuries and things like that. So I was hoping coming into the season he would be, you know, healthy and ready to go. But yesterday was, I won't even say more of the same. It was worse than last year. So that's a bit scary. I haven't even seen I haven't been impressed with what I saw in preseason either from him. So might be time for us to bring a competition, you know, bring in a competition for another punter. Just see what some other cats have. Is Morstead retired? Is Morstead on another team? Those are things I don't know. But I think he's on another team now. But if he's not, bring him back in. Let's compete again. Because we can't have 20-yard punts. Basically, I believe that was the third touchdown they had. It was either second or third, don't hold me, but it was one of those touchdowns in the middle there, and it was right after that terrible punt. But of course, our defense gave up that touchdown because I mean they had very little to play with. I can't obviously we don't want anyone to score on our defense at all ever, but I'm just saying they were playing with one hand tied behind their back on that drive at least. That said, so those are kind of some things I noticed and just honestly some disappointments in the game. Conversely, our defense coming into the game looked prepared. Some people were mad at Ulbrich last year. I was concerned, but not quite mad, except for that Colts game last year. I was upset. I was very upset. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. But that said, Ulbrich had a plan. They looked great. I just wish our offense could have helped them. You know. But that said, I loved watching Sauce when I could. I loved watching DJ Reed. I loved watching Quan. Our defensive line looked good. Quinnen looked good. Jermaine Johnson looked good. With Jacob Martin was included, I believe, with that Jermaine Johnson sack that they had together. That was awesome. I like seeing our team swarm to the ball and just do that. And again, the top 10. Arguably, and depending on who you're talking to, some people say top 20, whatever you want to call Lamar Jackson. He's a great player. So I was impressed by how we were able to keep him, for the most part, not as deadly as we're used to seeing him. So that's some stuff I wanted to kind of go over and things that I saw. As far as a few stats that I saw, again, Joe Flacco's 37 of 59. I tell you, watching that game, it didn't feel like it. It felt so much worse than that. I never would have even thought that. I think he had 307 yards, something along those lines. So, that said, those numbers don't tell the whole story with him. If we could have protected, would we look better? I think, like I said, I think it was kind of like a 50-50 split between him and the offensive line. Going into that, Laken Tomlinson, our Pro Bowl guard addition in free agency this year, he had 8 pressures against him. He was pressured 8 times. That's not going to fly. Probably one of his worst games in maybe his career. So, keeping all things equal and taking things into account, we do know that our offensive line, had a lot of turnover in the last few weeks, with Mekhi Becton going out to Dwayne Brown going out. I believe George Fant had to move 3 times. So I kind of feel his pain. Laken Tomlinson had to, even though he didn't move, the man next to him kept moving. That hurts a bit. They say with offensive line play in general, continuity and chemistry is integral. That's why they say the first few games of the season, offensive lines are behind. And then you start seeing those once that chemistry is together, you see much better offensive line play and it results in higher scoring games. I bet you when you see in October this year, you'll see less sloppy play. I'm not even just making that exclusive to the Jets. I'm just saying in general in the NFL, you see it every year. But that said, I know this was a Jets video, so we got to do better. Laken Tomlinson, you got to do better. George Fant, you got to do better. You guys are our veterans. We need y'all to ball out. Joe needed you yesterday. Joe could have helped y'all too, but we need each other. Moving off that and leaving it alone. We were 2 of 14 on third down conversions. You're not gonna win like that. I believe at one point in time in the game we were 0 for 10, I think. On third down. It's a problem. So again, we had a lot of circumstances with those drives, between what I already have gone over, so I won't keep beating that drum, but that's what happens. Drives fall short with drops, fumbles, missed kicks. That's what happens. Overall, Laken Tomlinson was our worst graded offensive lineman per PFF. Got to do better there. Moving off that to more positive stuff. I promise. I got my negativity out of the way. Again, Jermaine Johnson and Jacob Martin with that sack. Wonderful play. It was good to see Jermaine Johnson kind of get out there and boogie a little bit. Hoping as he continues, we get to see more and more from him. He was one of the rookies that popped. Another one of the rookies that popped was Garrett Wilson. I know that he only got 41 snaps, and that was an eye-popping stat for me. But even with those snaps, he still looked pretty damn good to me. I like he had 4 catches for 50 yards, and on 8 targets. So I believe he had 1 drop, and then there was that weird first down issue that happened when Conklin fumbled and all that. But that said, I thought Garrett Wilson looked good. I think he's going to get more snaps as the games go on. I think he just had those. I think the team really wanted to focus on whatever pass protection they could offer going into the game. So, again, more to come with Garrett Wilson. He even graded out as our best wide receiver per PFF. So, something else to kind of take an advantage. I believe it was 70.6 that he was as he graded out. Kind of jumping around here. Another rookie that popped off the screen for me, probably easy to say for everybody else, would be Sauce Gardner. He had a hell of a game for his first game in the NFL. I'm very impressed. I mean, the kid, had a pass defense against Mark Andrews. It was a thing of beauty. I mean, we all know how good and talented Mark Andrews is, so that was a hell of a play. He had 3 targets and one completion on him for 8 yards. Starting to make it. Might be too early. But I want to see more from Sauce, and I can't wait to watch this kid play. Another rookie that flashed for us, even though his game was up and down, and I'll admit that, and I think he would tell you the same thing, was Breece Hall. I liked his 14-yard run. I liked the way he runs the ball. That fumble was crazy. And it looked like he was a bit heartbroken about the fumble after the game. And he said that won't happen again. I mean, we can't take that to heart. It's the NFL. Players are going to try and punch the ball out and things like that. But I think we'll still see more from him as the game goes on. I want to also give out a shout out to Michael Carter. Michael Carter played pretty damn well. At one point in time in that game, he was the only one on offense. He was the one that I believe he had like half of our offensive yards at the time. Obviously, at that time, we weren't moving the ball super well, but when we were moving it, it was because of Michael Carter. I believe he finished the game with 60 yards rushing, excuse me, and then 40 yards receiving off 7 catches, 9 targets, 6 yards per carry. Not bad, not bad. I wish, again, not to beat a dead horse, but I wish we would have ran the ball more. I think we had 17 carries as a whole. We could do better than that. But that said, I know it's tough to run at the end of the game. We were kind of forced a little bit into more passing situations in the fourth quarter. So I understand that and I see that. Let's see. One other, stat slash kind of silver lining in the stats realm here. We won the time of possession. That's one of the things you want to do every game. We had it 32 minutes and 30 seconds as opposed to their 27 minutes and 30 seconds. That's improvement. We outgained them 378 total yards to their 274 total. Something else to be pleased about. Again, all those, errors that we had on our end, and all that still happened. We clean up the foolishness. That's a dub, you know? Shout outs again to our defense. It was night and day from last year. In perspective, we held the Ravens to 63 yards, guys. 63 yards rushing. The Ravens. They averaged 145 yards rushing last year. I know year to year things are going to change, but with this team, we do need to at least look for what happened last year, just for perspective, especially since we're looking at things, talking about the last 10 years, talking about we're not winning games. So we can look back to last year for happy things too. Just my opinion, though. I feel you guys, though. Back to the Ravens. They so I said they averaged 145 yards rushing per game last year, and we allowed teams to average 138 yards rushing. So improvement on that. We held them to 211 yards through the air. Versus last year, it was 259 that we were allowing teams to do passing. So I was impressed with that. Quinnen had 3 hurries, and he graded out 91.9 in terms of his pass rush score. I won't say that he popped off the screen a ton, but he did make a couple of plays that stood out to me. So hope to see more from him, especially with this D-line rotation. It's going to be tough for them to have like a bunch of counting stats. So these advanced stats and analytics are going to mean a little bit more in terms of seeing what they do, unless the obvious stuff happens, like sacks, right, and interceptions and stuff like that, or fumble returns, or tackles for losses. Unless those happen, you're going to have to look in the analytical stuff. Another thing I definitely wanted to shout out or call out here is, hey, we forced a turnover. It was a hell of a play by DJ Reed with that interception that he had. I liked the awareness that he showed, that veteran savvy, those ball skills while it was in the air. And that was severely lacking last year. No shade on Bryce Hall. Not Reese, but Bryce. At corner last year, because I thought he did a serviceable job. He just wasn't otherworldly. He wasn't terrible. He wasn't great. He was average. And there's nothing wrong with that for, a 6th round pick in 2020 or 2021? So that said, though, DJ Reed is just that much better, not just because he got that pick. It's just those ball skills. You need that. You need those to help win games. Turnovers mean everything. And kind of given the circumstances of what DJ Reed went through, I'm sure everybody's heard by now that DJ Reed's father, Dennis Reed Sr., passed away. And he found out just a few minutes before the game started. I remember hearing something along the lines of that he was crying through the national anthem, after hearing that. I can't blame him. That would hurt me. It's like going into work and right before you clock in, they tell you, you just lost your father. I wouldn't be able to go to work. Just putting that out there. But that said, good for DJ Reed balling out the way he did. I believe he had 6 targets and only gave up. See if I can find that stat for you guys really quick. So it blew me away. Yes, 6 targets. That interception. And per PFF, no yards given up. He had 90% coverage score per PFF. Not bad, right? Way to ball out, young men, and especially in terms of those circumstances. Rest in peace to Dennis Reed Sr. Anyway, moving off of that, for perspective though, in 2021, we only forced 14 turnovers for the year. That was 7 fumbles and 7 interceptions. And we were 31st in the league in creating turnovers. That is something that has to change. That is something that has to improve in order for us to become the playoff team we aspire to be. But that aside, just the improved team we want to see. You know, that's the next step. We have to create turnovers on defense if we want to be a hell of a defense and win games. You know, so I'm excited to see that we started off with that. I'm hoping we can create some more turnovers each game going forward. I'd like to set up my own personal goal for the team of forcing 20 turnovers, and I don't think that's insane to ask. Let's see what happens. You know, it's a make or miss league. You know, a lot of luck goes into causing turnovers in terms of fumbles anyway. But maybe we can, with our secondary, at least with our 2 corners, DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner, maybe we can get those opportunities with those 2. But we'll see. More to come. More to come. Last point that I'm just going to make before I end this video, guys. And this is just for me. I love watching Quan Alexander play. That's my kind of linebacker right there. He is always around the ball. He's a thumper, but he's a smart thumper. Love Quincy Williams, you know, and his uppercut, you know, celebration that he does after his plays. But Quan, no, Quan's just different. I love the way he plays. He's a smart thumper, you know. I love his energy too. And I think it's needed in that locker room. Someone who's kind of going to get into the other young players' faces, you know, and encourage them, you know. So that's the leadership aspect on the side. But then like I said, I like the way he plays in general. But as far as the statistic part and why I enjoy watching him play, did you know he was 3rd best on the team in terms of coverage behind DJ Reed and Sauce? And that's a linebacker we're talking. I was impressed by that. If he stays healthy, which we all know has been something that he's struggled just a little bit with, you know, I think he's going to be a problem for other offenses to deal with because you have a linebacker like that playing with CJ Mosley, playing with Quincy Williams. Good place to be for us. So as great as we played, there were, you know, on defense, there were still opportunities even for them to kind of learn from and build from. There's still plenty of film for them to go through and miscues and miscommunications, like the touchdown to Duvernay on Whitehead and Joyner. Saw that. And now I'm back in this. I'm supposed to be in the silver lining, so I'll hurry that up. But I'm saying that plays like that we can learn from. I by no means think the season is over after week 1. I don't believe in that. But we have plenty to work on. And this team can do so much better. But I'm encouraged that we're seeing this improvement, at least from the defensive side of things. And just hopefully the offense can make those details matter, you know, make those plays, get rid of the silly stuff, so to speak, get the drops out, you know, just keep the chains moving, you know. I mean, that game could have been very different if we just keep some of those drives alive, make a kick, you know. But that said, good ups to Jets fans that were at the game. I want to give y'all a personal shout out. Y'all were awesome in the crowd. I wish I could have been there with you guys. the support that y'all were putting out for the team until the end of the game. I know y'all got pretty mad, and I can't blame you. But y'all were great, rooting for the team and everything, considering 9/11 and dealing with the inclement weather. So shout out to you guys. Let's see how the rest of the season goes. It's not over, but more to come. That said, that's gonna be the end of my video, guys. I'll interact as best I can, and again, let me know what your thoughts are in regards to the name of the show or any suggestions you may have going forward. I want to do some more segments and good stuff with you guys. Right now, I'm still kind of getting my feet wet with this whole video thing, but love you guys. Let's go Jets, and more to come with my Knicks fans too. Let's go New York Knicks. Let's go RJ. Bye, guys.